Okay, welcome everybody to this evening's live forex market review. My name is Duncan Cooper. Before we get into it, if you can read through the disclaimer, that would be great. If you're on our YouTube live stream, I cannot see the chat, but you're more than welcome to join us in the webinar. I've given you the link there. Azu, hello there. Now, if you have any questions through the webinar, just put them into the chat or the question box. I've got both open. And I'm just struggling with a cold. Apparently, I've got COVID. So if I'm a bit croaky, I apologize. I may just have to stop a couple of times to blow my nose. I'll try not to have a sneezing fit as well. So I'll try and get through without croaking too much. So if you can just read through the risk disclaimer, that would be great. As I say, any questions to the chat box or the question and answer box? All right, let's move along. So if you don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor here at XAUUSD Securities, and I'm a full-time trader. Been trading the forex market now for more than 15 years, mentoring for more than 10. If you want to contact me, my email is there, duncan.cooper@acy.com. Through the week, you can connect with me on our website, acy.com, go to the market news tab, get my analysis there. On our YouTube channel, ACY Securities Australia, and you can connect with me on Twitter, LinkedIn, on those handles if you wish. As well, through the week, you can connect with us in our Telegram channel. If you want to get access to that, just contact nathan.bray. I'll put his details in the chat now. If you want to get access to my chart letters and templates, he can organize that for you. If you need help with a demo account, or you want to open a live account, just have a chat with Nathan. He'll be only too happy to help you out on all those fronts. So his details are in the chat there. All right. So first up, we'll just have a look at the news. Here we go. So there's a few news events coming out. The market may just be waiting for the news. So I'm just going to go through the levels I'm going to be watching after the news. So news events coming out. Just want to see what the euro is doing on my other screen. Just up a little bit. We're just having the release of their inflation figures now. Interestingly, their inflation's ticking down a little bit there. All right. So 10:15 p.m. for the US, got ADP non-farm employment change figures coming out, unemployment claims at 10:30. Midnight, we've got the ISM manufacturing PMI that can definitely drive the market. And then we've got the US job figures coming out tomorrow evening at 10:30. All right, so the bigger events are probably this one at midnight and then tomorrow. But any of these US figures here can drive the market for sure. Just excuse me one moment. All right, so again, let's go and move into the charts. And we'll look at the dollar index first of all. So, you know, if we're obviously into the new month, a very positive month up last month, closing above these two monthly tops. So are we going to have another month up? Are we going to come up and challenge what is that monthly high there, which is at 105.87, and this weekly high here? So that was a false break of that high there. So are we going to come up to the top of the range? And Azu is saying CPI on US dollar. I don't think we've got CPI coming out. We just had the CPI on the Eurozone. I'm not really seeing CPI. That's not until we're going to next week's data. It's not until week commencing Monday the 12th. It's in that week is the US CPI data. Okay. All right, so can the dollar continue its rise after the very positive month of May? I generally just have the general forecasting idea that a very positive month up last month, we may well follow into the new month, but it's not always the case. You can see here. This may well want to stay sideways. Positive month there, slightly up for the month, and then we fell down. So it's not a given that we're going to go month up, month up, month up here. We could simply top out within the range here still. All right, but clearly the weekly's been moving up very nicely, and the daily is in an uptrend here. Okay, we might see a little bit of consolidation here ahead of the job figures. And let's have a look at the S&P 500. Still holding to an uptrend here. It's still, this colored area is all these weekly tops that I've highlighted. And we're back below, well, we're moving back into that zone. And that's a monthly top up here to a monthly low. We're just at the very high end of the monthly range, just holding to an uptrend. And I've been saying for quite a number of weeks here, not a lot's going on here on the S&P 500. It's just barely holding to an uptrend. If you're wanting to trade it, this is very almost range bound. You really want to look for a very deep dip. I'd be looking at the 79% level to see whether it could pull back to that level. That's what it did last time on a pullback. That's at 41.33. Okay, so it is just holding to its uptrend there. Very slow going. I'll just leave that on there. We can review that next week. So it is holding to an uptrend. It's a little bit against the correlation of what we normally see if US dollars moving up. The stock market's usually moving down. All right, let's get into, we might head over to the euro. We just had the CPI figures coming out. Now I put this out on Telegram earlier in the day, looking at the 10700 level up to the 107.13 level. I've got a fib drawn from yesterday's high to low. But let's just go from the day chart down. In fact, we can go to the monthly chart. We had a very negative month down. Are we going to follow down and through into another month? Now, we did touch this low over here yesterday, 106.35. It's a little bit hidden by price action, but that's where price stopped at. So it's still relevant to the market. Weekly trend here. In terms of official trend, that's a higher bottom, higher top, but we had a very negative month last month. So can we follow down and through to test this low in the new month, 105.16. So that's that low over here from the monthly chart, 106.35. And the level I'm watching is broken day support, 107.13. Can we pop back up to that level today? Early, if you get your support and resistance on your charts correctly, Tuesday I was discussing this level, 107.36. That held the market Tuesday into Wednesday. Now we've broken below this level. If we're going to continue down, broken support should be resistance. That's at 107.13. Now, we drop down the time frames. Once we've broken below that level yesterday, quite clearly, we haven't come back up to it. Now we're putting in a little bit of a minor higher bottom here on the 4 hour, so we may well see a revisit later in the day of the 10700 level, the 107.13 daily resistance level. As I said, I've got a fib drawn from Tuesday's high to Wednesday's low. 62 levels at 107.03. So I'm just watching this area. Before yesterday's news, we run up to the figure and then fell. So that's become a reference point intraday. So we may well come back up to that area for sure today. Does that become an area of resistance for a further move down today? That's the area we're going to be watching, 10700 to 107.13. When the news comes out, I'm going to watch that area. Euro yen. Now, it's worth noting that we've actually had a negative month on the euro yen, hitting or very close to, we were 10 pips short of this resistance level up here. False broke that top there. So significant areas from back in time, 2014, 2008, is holding the market. It isn't an uptrend in terms of high tops and bottoms, but we could be seeing some downtime here from a negative month last month. And we're having an outside week this week. Moving back below that, just back to the monthly chart, this top here, that's at 149.77. So a negative week, outside reversal. I did say Tuesday we might see a lower top form here on the weekly because we're at a significant area of monthly resistance. So to the daily, just taking out some of these minor lows here. I would most definitely be watching 149.77 to be further resistance if we can get up to that level. Now, that's where the high yesterday came. So we might, and there's all these 4-hour lows, low there, it became resistance there. I would just be watching this area of resistance. Just there. Primarily 149.77. We're drawing a fib across that whole range that's been occurring this week. All right, but my focal level at the moment is 149.77. What happens at that level when we revisit? You can see late last week, it became support. We moved just above last week's high, and then we've been falling down, and we've fallen below last week's low. So that turns it to negative. What's going to happen at 149.77? We're obviously heading up toward there. So watch that area today. What happens there when we get the news released later in the day? And I could also draw a fib. This is yesterday's range. 79% level overlaps perfectly with that 149.77 level. So that would be most definitely the area to watch. We may just be coming up within the range of yesterday. There's the top that happened just before the news came out yesterday. Very much like it on the euro dollar. So that same area there would be well worth watching as the news comes out later in the day. What happens up there? All right, so we'll have a quick look at the euro pound. Now, the euro pound is not in the best place at the moment. It's getting down towards all these significant lows here. Just move it to a weekly chart. These lows down here. And obviously a very negative month last month. It's a high bottom, lower top. So it's actually a little bit mixed. So this could stay range bound. It might just get to the bottom of the range. And then what happens there? So really for me at the moment, I'd be just waiting to see if price gets down to the lower end. And you could just put a line across there. That's at 85.78. All right, 85.78 down at 85.47 support. So I will be just watching that area, see what happens down there. Got a fraction short of that yesterday, of the first level. So I'm not going to sell down here, right next to support, but if it came into this area and then started to see a reversal, price action showing a reversal on the 4-hour chart is looking a little bit like a reversal there at the moment. We've stabbed down on the last 4-hour candle. This could well be moving back up to this area. If you want to trade to the downside from the 4-hour chart perspective, you could look for a rally back up to 62 level combined with 4-hour broken support there. And there's an imbalance there that probably needs to get filled. So to the downside, looking at an area 86.28 to 86.25. But with the fact that prices moved down to a key area of support or fraction short, that, we could actually bottom right now where we are and move all the way back up. So I'd much prefer to see that hit support and then look for a reversal back up. So I'm just going to, I'd bide my time on that at the moment. All right, so look at the pound crosses. Now I put out on Telegram yesterday, I lost a few of my lines, and I think I altered my chart in last night's webinar. So I just want to put things back. Now, if you've deleted a few lines and you want to get them back, just go Control Z and you'll get everything that you've deleted most recently. So I'm just going to quickly keep my lines. Here we go. All right, so the key area to watch is this double top area. It's 124.48. I've been discussing that last Wednesday. We rejected, fell down. We've been holding there all week. All right, fraction short all week. Trend is from minor tops or major tops, lower top. That is a minor lower top. And if I just drop down to my 4-hour chart, that is last week's high. So we're trading within the candle of last week at the moment. Last week's high to low. Put this out yesterday. I said watch 124.36 up to 124.48. And lo and behold, we traded up to 124.48 or maybe 49. And then we've been failing. And then now we're starting to maybe hold at the 79% level. So are we just going to see a continuation of the move down now for the week after retracing back inside last week's candle? So when the news comes out later in the day, we're just heading up at the moment. Watch this area. It's the area that I put out yesterday, 124.48 and the 79% fib area there. You can see how it came up to 124.49 and then see how it's gotten capped. We may well just put in another lower top here. Might just touch the 79% level to trade down. So that's the area to watch. When the news comes out, we might stab up. But what happens after that? Does it start to withdraw from that area once more? With no news coming out, clearly that area is where the sellers are. So once the news passes at midnight tonight, what starts to happen in that area once more? Trend is down on the day chart. So, and we're just up in the range of last week. Top of the range at the moment last week. We could be fading up here right now. By the time the job figures comes out tomorrow and finishes, we could be moving all the way back down to putting another weekly candle down. Okay, so if we clearly break above 124.48, then we may well be moving higher. But at the moment, that is the level that is holding as resistance. If we see a further failure there, you'd have to trade the failure to the short side. If we clearly break above, then over the next week, we may well be looking at 124.48 to be support to move higher. Okay. Pound yen's still be moving up. It's just putting in another high bottom. It couldn't quite pull back to support. Day support 172.32 and monthly support here. So that's holding its trend at the moment. Couldn't quite get back to support there based on the day chart or monthly. It would have gotten back to 4-hour area of support here. This whole area. If you got all these 4-hour tops, just kind of group them all together and create an area. And that's where the market has pulled back to. All right. Now that we've moved into a 4-hour uptrend, I would be monitoring a pullback before the next advance. Draw fib across the range. Look for a 62.79% pullback for a continuation. I think this pair at the moment, it only turns to a bearish scenario if we break back below daily monthly support. All right, at the moment, it's holding above those levels, finding support, putting in a further higher bottom of the day chart. So now looking for the potential of pullback. And if that was to happen today, I can see the 62% level lines up very close to the figure. So 173 level there, 173.05 to 173, that would be a good area to watch on a pullback. let's say we don't move any further up, and the news drives this down, I would watch 173 to 173.05 as an area. You can see all these 15-minute lows of support forming there on top of 173, or trying to spike down, getting support at 173. So that would be a clear support area if price moved down, to watch for a reversal back up. All right, just excuse me one moment. All right, I'm back. Just had to blow my nose. Now let's get into the Aussie yen, which could be well fang here, just short of 91. I'll just be waiting for the news because this could spike up. If you sold it here and just put your stop just above this area, you could easily get stopped out when the news comes out. Edwin, you're saying this is a potential head and shoulder on the pound yen. Well, on the 4-hour chart, I did see that, but when I go to the daily chart, there's nothing there on the daily chart. The daily chart structure there is quite clearly up. Now, we could look at my other charts. I just think this is very strong at the moment. Until you start to see the day chart change its trend, this could well be coming up to test the monthly level of resistance at 174.83. However, we could dive a bit deeper and look at an indicator on the pound yen. Daily 4-hour. Because I did see it on the 4-hour. You're saying this is a shoulder, this is the head. I mean, potentially, but you're definitely going counter trend. I know what you're saying. You could be looking at that is a left shoulder, head. Are we getting a right shoulder here? There's a little bit, possibly a little bit of divergence there on the 4-hour. We're at the 79. I mean, if you like to look at the pattern, for sure, but you're definitely pushing against, if I just tidy that off, you're definitely pushing against strong weekly trend, strong daily trend. So there is the potential, but it's very much counter trend, isn't it? And it's not happening at the moment as well. If I go back to my other charts, it's not happening. It's in the middle. It's in the middle of support and resistance here. It's not happening at, say, 174.83, which is monthly resistance over there. Now, if it was happening at 174.83, I'd be a little bit more happier about engaging the idea. Doesn't mean to say it's not going to work, but it's not really happening at a level of resistance. So it could work. I mean, you need to make a decision yourself, but it's not to say it won't work. But clearly the day chart trend is still up there. The weekly trend is clearly up, and it's not happening at a level of resistance. So I'd much prefer a pattern to form at a known level of resistance. So we don't quite have that, but it could, it could work. All right, we cover the pound, looking, that little range here. See that lower top, lower top, lower top. There's a 79% level there too on the minor range. We could short. We could be down to 124 before the news comes out. But I would, still be waiting for the news to come out there. But you need to make a decision. Let's go to Aussie yen. And at the moment, we're just holding just below the 91 level. What we are seeing this week is another negative week from a negative week last week. And I've been focusing on this range from this high to low. We're all the way back up to the very high area of the range. There's actually potential on this time frame. Let me just get rid of. I have a head and shoulder pattern formed there that I put out on Telegram on Tuesday. But there's a little left shoulder here. Head. That's the lower bottom. Potentially this can be a right shoulder here, this whole area to that area there. See how that top is forming at that area of resistance just there. So this to me looks very suggestive of topping out to move back down support. And we're seeing as I just deleted my lines off. Left shoulder head, and then our right shoulder falling here. Now at the moment we're just false breaking this area of support. I might just adjust it to that low now, 90.74.9. Either level's just fine, but that's the newest level. We're just trading inside the candle of yesterday, which the range is there. So we're at the 62% level of yesterday's trading range. Got the figure there. We went through the figure yesterday, 91 there. Now you could be trading here, stop above yesterday's high. That was the resulting price action from the CPI data yesterday. So really we're getting capped. The open candle was here. All right, so we're getting capped. That's where the open was when the news came out. We're getting capped ahead of where the news came out. So this is just retracing back of some of yesterday's price action. We can't get back to where the news came out. So it's worth watching that level later in the day. It's around about 91.10 when the news comes out later. But we may well be topping out here at 91. You need to make a decision if you want to trade and maybe put your stop above yesterday's high, playing here at the 62% level just for a continuation of the move down. All right. Aussie dollar, it's just trying to work out. Go to your day chart. There's a double top. As I've been saying, 63.41 is my target. We're just bouncing on this level of day support at the moment. Can't quite commit below it. We're just trading inside the range of the candle. For me, this is quite negative at the moment, even though we're kind of bouncing on support and holding above support at the moment. Just needs some more news to come out that's negative to drive it down. We have this pullback here could not get back to broken weekly supports, 65.64 and 65.73. If that doesn't get back to support on that pullback, that's just weak. That means the sellers are coming in ahead of that level. They're prepared to take control of the market ahead of broken support becoming resistance. So at the moment, we're just not wanting to commit below 65, but we're just trading inside yesterday's range. All right, yesterday's range is here. All right, so we've almost been up to 79% of yesterday's range. That was the open of the news candle. So we kind of gotten capped in the area today. Doesn't really want to go above where we were when the news came out. All right, not wanting to commit just yet below 65, but over the next, I would say, couple of trading days, 65 may well get broken. I'll be watching then 65 to become resistance if we can continually move down. Later in the day, if the news comes out, I would certainly be watching up here at 79% level and that open candle there from the news, 65.20. So it's about 65.15 to 20. That's where we failed already, but we could well come back into that area later when the news comes out for a further move down. All right, getting into New Zealand yen. It's moved below this weekly area of resistance now, or support that was support, that was resistance at the start of the week. And we've been moving down away from that level, and it's been breaking low, low, still have another low here. There is an area of support here. So we're just into an area of support, so 83.865. But ultimately, this is in a downtrend now in the day chart. From the monthly perspective, a very negative month. Failed right at the top of the range. You know, if we just forecast what's going to happen for the new month, you'd have to think we trade down to support with that candle. All right. Just contending with that level is weekly support, 83.86. Now, from a day chart perspective, this is in a downtrend, so we may well find support here in the short term. So I would be monitoring that day chart range, looking 79% levels at 84.93. That overlaps with that top just there, which is weekly resistance that we moved through this week. That would be a high probability area to watch for reversal, 84.91. I know it's 100 pips away at the moment, but this is a little bit overextended in its day chart move down. Trying to be a seller here at the moment when we've had 1, 2, this is positive day, but that's 3 days down. You want to be selling within the first day down, maybe, not the third day down. So I would now be looking for a rally. Look at that 84.91 area and the 79% fib for a potential retest and failure up there, okay? Up to there. All right, New Zealand dollar. Now, I did put this out on Telegram today. Yesterday, we did close below day support, 60.22, which we have tagged today. We may well tag it again today. We'll see what the news brings. This is just a clear downtrend. Again, any rally at the moment has just been inside a day chart candle here. These 2 days was inside that candle. Once we committed below weekly supports here, we haven't been able to get back to it. So it's very weak. We actually haven't had a day up in 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 7th day. No day up. We had a positive day. So you might call that a day up there, but we haven't actually broken the high of a day in 7 days. This is very weak. Double top price projection, very much like the Aussie dollar. It's down here at 58.40. We could well be seeing this moving down long term to 55.12, last year's low. And why I say that is, this is the range of last year. And we failed at around about the 62% level here. Now, if the fib tool runs out, as we know the fib tool works, failing at the 62% level, we could see a move down to test the 0 level and move through to the 127 extension level. So that's why I'm saying we could most definitely test last year's low, because that's where we failed at the moment. That's the yearly high here. All right, so that being said, long term, this looks rather negative at the moment. All right, in the short term, we're starting to hold below that day support level. So on the 4-hour chart, I've had a fib drawn in. In fact, I'm going to go to the 15-minute chart from yesterday's high to low, because we've just been trading up inside yesterday's range. Failed at 62. And when this started to drop, I was looking for a retest of that level. Didn't quite get there, only having at the central pivot. But I would be watching this area once more when the news comes out. 62 level to the broken day support level. We've also got last week's low there, so we're committing to hold below last week's low. Can price spike up into this area when the news comes out? That would be a great area to look for a reversal. Just, it's worth noting here that we are getting some form of support at 60, so at the 60 level. We're able to trade below it, but we're not able to hold below it for any length of time. All right, so you don't want to be selling too close to 60. You want to be trying to sell up the range a bit, so that when it comes down to test 60, you can be at break even. So that you can effectively manage your trade, okay? All right, let's get into the dollar CAD. Excuse me a moment. All right, moving to dollar CAD now. Let's just have a look at the weekly chart here, or in the monthly chart too. Last 2 months have been very positive. Well, both closing positive, showing that we're moving down to support and rejecting twice. Now, the monthly trend here is a higher bottom down here. This may be a further higher bottom forming, but we have a higher bottom, lower top. So really mixed, but clearly finding support down at the 133 level. You can see we got a series of higher bottoms forming on the weekly. So this is consolidation at the moment. Is it a long-term area of consolidation to move higher? Is that US dollar strength going to prevail? Certainly from the Canadian side perspective in interest rates, they're on pause. They may be at their terminal rate. They haven't risen interest rates for at least 2 months from memory. At the moment, though, we are once more testing, go to the monthly charts. We're once more testing this monthly area, 136.64, and weekly resistance there. So every time we get into that area, we hold, and every time we get down to this area, we hold too. So we're rather range bound. So we put in a very negative day yesterday. Now, that could have just been selling pressure the last day of the month, people swaying their positions. We're back down to a level that's been holding on Wednesday, 135.67. So once the news comes out today, watch 135.67. That is your clear area of support for this week. Once we committed above that top through here, and we did form an imbalance on that candle, but that's just been filled. This move down into it, that dip down there, pretty much filled the imbalance there. So we could be on support to move back up. So we are range bound as we drop it down to 4-hour chart. If you want to trade this pair, it's range bound on support. So you need to look to trade up from support back up to challenge resistance. All right, and we might just stay range bound in that area. Of course, if we break support, I would anticipate a move back down to the 133 level. Excuse me a moment. All right, sorry about that. So if we do break support, I anticipate we could move back down to weekly support. But at the moment, support is holding. So just go to the 15-minute chart. You have a pivot point down here. M2 pivot 135.65, 135.67 there. Look at that area. What happens when the news comes out? Do we move down, hold to move back up? You can see once we've moved into that area today, it's been holding all day at the moment. So that's the area to look for a further test, hold to move back up. Okay. All right. Let's have a look at Swiss franc, which has had a very positive month, reversing. I said down here that we're at 10-year lows, and historically, you know, this is where the buys would come in. So we've had a very positive month up. At the moment, we're just holding it. We're trying to, let's say holding, we're just trying to move above. We were holding at weekly resistance, 90.59, and monthly resistance. All these weekly lows. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Still struggling a little bit at these lows, but we are actually above every one but one, 90, 97 there. So we've been having a 4-week move up there, very strong month up. Can we continue up in the new month? All right, today chart, we're seeing clear high tops and bottoms. From a day chart perspective at the moment, I would look at weekly resistance that we've moved above is 90.59, and there's also a day chart top there. So this area could be good support if we do get a significant dip. Monthly resistance, 90.84 could now be support. 4 hour. If I draw my fib in, then the day chart level will be a better level because it lines up with the 62. The weekly level. Weekly level and the day top over here, 90.62. So this area on a 4-hour dip, 90.59 would be good. But depending on how strong the market is, it may only pull back to monthly support at 90.84. I always like a 62 to 79% dip, so that doesn't really give me that. So look at the 15. All right, so from a dip perspective, I will be looking down here at 90.59 if we can get down there. We'll have to wait and see whether we can. You can also watch 90.84. Okay. If we've moved above levels of resistance and the trend's going to continue, expect those levels to be support. All right, but we are seeing a little bit of US dollar sell-off at the moment. I can see the euro dollar is just edging up on my other screen. So the euro dollar is just edging up towards, whether or not it can get up to 107, we'll see, but may just spike up there when the news comes out. All right, so dollar franc looking for an area for support. 90.84 is the first level. Lower levels 90.59, and you got the 62% level at 90.64. All right, last pairs review tonight is gold. So at the moment, we go to the monthly. Very negative month. It's an outside reversal month to the downside. Are we forming a triple top up here? Now, the weekly trend in terms of major bottoms is higher bottom to a higher top. Some minor bottoms here that's broken, so maybe this weekly trend is faltering. I can see that the high of this week is kind of holding at the low of that week there. This area here. And the day chart trend here is lower top, lower bottom. It is back below weekly resistance here too. That looks like a 79% retracement on the day chart retracement, just there, which it is. So we could well now be moving back below weekly support resistance. Primarily now resistance because we broke below it. So you expect that level to be resistance, even though we closed fractionally above it yesterday. So are we forming a lower top there for another move down this way? Very negative month last month. So if we're just forecasting from last month for that triple top outside reversal candle, looks very negative, or maybe a move down. And I've been saying that we may be moving down to this, to at least fill this imbalance in here to the left. And let's just have a look at this on the 4-hour chart. We've actually failed at 79% level of the big range. The big range, 79% level, 1972. Does overlap with the 79% level of the day chart range, and that's where price failed. When the news comes out, we can revisit that area, but most surely that would be a good area to watch for a revisit when the news comes out. So it's around about the 1970 level there. See how we came up to fill this imbalance here. All right, and we are back below now weekly resistance. So if today we close below 1959 on the day chart, then we could well be moving down further for sure there on gold. All right, everybody, any final questions? I can just see on my other screen, Eurodollar is just heading up. Quite possibly it's going to hit that 107 level. So the area that I was looking at early in the day could well be touched. Pound still holding below the area up here. It's just holding that smaller 79% level. All right, so while I'm waiting for a final question or not, just be aware, news items for the US coming out at 10:30. And then a further one. Hang on, let's get to Thursdays. 10:15, 10:30, and 12 o'clock. These are Queensland time, New South Wales time. All right, and of course we have the job figures tomorrow as well. All right, so be aware of those items coming out. I'm going to be up at, even though I'm sick, I'm going to be up at midnight to see what price does. I've got some positions I'm managing, so I'll have to be up. So once the news comes out, some of those levels I was discussing, I'll be watching to see what's going on. So I'm hoping the euro dollar can maintain its downward trend and maybe hold at the 107 level. All right, no questions are coming in. Thanks very much for your company this evening. Hopefully I'm coming through clear enough. I'm a little bit on the sick side. Coming up next week, if I can get my page to work. Next webinar for myself is coming up next Tuesday, 7 p.m. More analysis. First Wednesday of the month, I always like to review what happened last month. What can you learn from last month's price action in hindsight to help you this month or the next month? So that will be next Wednesday and more analysis on Thursday. All right, so that's what's coming up from me. Thanks very much for attendance this week. It's always appreciated. And have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you, Slav. Thanks, Edwin. All the best to everybody. Look forward to seeing you next time.